I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you want to get this 2026 BMW X5 M Competition in Brooklyn Gray Metallic over Shakir Orange Black Full Leather. Next year, we're going to have the Neue Classic design for the X5. It's going to carry over the S68 engine, which will have more horsepower and torque than this, so it'll definitely be a quicker 0 to 60, but the controversy is going to come into the styling. But BMW is saying that it's still going to look as dynamic as this. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to also throw in some pros and cons as I'm going over all the specs of the exterior, the interior, showing you the features that we have added to this example while doing different comparisons to competition with similar specs. 8.4 inches of clearance, that's gonna start off. So if you're thinking about Audi and Mercedes, this is actually the best in class with ground clearance, and that carries over for the X6 M Competition as well, but you will lose cargo capacity. We'll explain that later on in the interior part of the review. The front is going to have standard shadow line lights. Full LED for the front. The kidney grille gets the matte black surrounding and glossy black in the interior, but it's missing the competition plate, which to me is a con. We have the driver assist package, which gives you partial driving assist, meaning an autonomous driving for about 0.2 to 0.3 miles. You can let go of the steering wheel and it will drive for you, reading the road. We have the AR. This comes standard with the 360-degree reverse camera as well as a 3D view. The lower gets the glossy black elements and it highlights all of the performance attributes because this is a S68, which is a 4.4-liter BMW M-Power turbocharged. That's a twin-turbo V8 producing 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission. Now, if I sound excited, it's because I am, and taking me to the first reason why I would pick this, it's not because it's a 3.7 second 0 to 60 or a top speed at 155 to 177 miles per hour. It's because this is a lifted-up sports car. You don't get that when you go into supercar territory. You get something that's so low that you can't drive it everywhere. This is a daily driving vehicle, yet track worthy. And we got a staggered wheel setup. This is a 295, 35, 21 up front, a 315, 30, 22 out back, star black M-spec wheels. These red brake calipers, 6 pistons in the front. This is a 15.6-inch disc reading, vintage, slotted. That's 396 millimeters. The rear gets a single floating caliper with a 15-inch disc or a 381 millimeter in diameter, and it's also vintage and slotted. Now, Audi and Mercedes is going to be roughly the same with your brakes, and the 0 to 60s are going to be close, but there's something about an S68 that just goes that extra step. And one of the things is it doesn't have rear axle steering standard or even available, because when you go into Audi and Mercedes, they do that so they can get the 50-50 weight distribution that this is basically getting. And the reason why BMW doesn't go that route is because this is a M chassis, so it's more tuned to performance with a standard xDrive, which will send 100% of torque to the rear wheel. Now, that's going to be the same case with Audi and Mercedes. And it's going to have a standard adaptive M suspension with an active roll stabilization. And all of them have that 48-volt mild hybrid system, and that is a problem for me because of longevity purposes, especially because a lot of people don't like to drive the M's for some odd reason. And if you don't maintain the driving for the 12-volt battery, it's going to diminish the battery of the 48-volt mild hybrid system because they both work hand in hand, and in some cases, if one dies, the other can drain itself completely out, and then you have a huge problem with this vehicle. And that's going to be for all 3 of the German. Standard LED taillights, the lower gets the glossy black, quad exhaust tips, we get the diffuser. The X5 can tow up to 7,200 pounds, which is not class leading compared to Mercedes and Audi, but when you're getting a track performance sports car that's lifted up with this much horsepower, it's easier to get insurance on something like this than a supercar. I mean, that's got to be the second reason why I would pick this. But let me know in the comments which way you would go, to the competition or to the BMW. And don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, because all of these engagements help with the algorithm so we can bring more performance and cool vehicles to the channel. Our liftgate going into 33.9 cubic feet, which is 6.5 cubic feet more than the X6. You get a 12 volt here, bag holders, And that's on both sides with LED interior lights, the privacy cover underneath the floor. Look how much storage you get. To fold down the rear seats at a 40-20-40 split or a 60-40 split, you have to come back here into the back, pull the tabs that's right here, and that's going to maximize cargo capacity to 72.3 cubic feet, which is 12.7 cubic feet more than the X6 M Competition. We need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. The key fob to the X5 M Competition. Soft closed doors, we got the executive package that's going to add that. It's also going to add the heated cooled cup holders, the Sky Lounge, which is a ton of LED lights for the panel moonroof, heated armrest, massage seats, ventilated front seats, heated seats is standard. This is a leather wrap seats with the Shakir orange and black. The X5M, this illuminates. And you got 22-way power seat adjustment for the front, upgraded Bauer & Wilkins sound system. We got the carbon fiber on the door card, and that carbon fiber, it extends through the whole center part of the dash with the ambient lighting. This is not leather, so I appreciate that because it's not going to bubble or rip because of the heat of Florida. We get the Alcantara headliner, BMW's curved panel 2-screen layout to make it that driver focus setup, but you still have plenty of room in the front for the passenger. And the BMW welcoming, let's fire it up. Heads-up display, auto-dimming rear view mirror, LED interior lights, and the 14.9-inch informational touchscreen for the center, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, personal Wi-Fi, you got 5G capabilities, you have a driver recorder which will use all the cameras around the vehicle, and it records up to 20 seconds of any accident or anything. So even if something hits the vehicle when you're not driving this, it's parked, it will still have the camera information, which is awesome. Spotify, you could also watch YouTube. Everything is wireless for the connectivity. Put it into reverse. This is standard 360-degree reverse camera. The assist view, which will show your front and rear parking sensors, but you have it here, so I don't really know why they even add it there. You hit the more button. This is going to give you a sub menu for the 3D view. Gesture control is no longer for 2026, so you have to either touch the sides here, use the iDrive here to go all around the vehicle. Click back into that more, and now you have the car wash view, which will show the trajectory, which with an X5M, I don't know. Would you take this to a car wash? Let us know in the comments. Glossy black for the air vents that was reworked a few years back, a wireless charging pad, USB 12-volt, cup holders, and you get the carbon fiber that's going to surround and even closing this up. So I like how cleaned up this is, because comparing it to Mercedes, you'll have those humps here, and then you have that touchpad here, which makes it a little bit less relaxing for the driver. It's going to be soft to touch. It opens up into a medium-sized storage pocket with a USB. Leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function. It is M spec with the 2 paddle shifts for M1 and M2, and this can just make it more aggressive, like your presets, basically the same thing like your seat settings, but this is going to be for the performance in the drive or even the exhaust note. Paddle shifts are going to be in the carbon fiber, and the gauge cluster is a 12.3 informational display that can go through an array of different content, including the AR, which will show everything for the front camera. I typically leave it here. And changing it from road mode into sport mode will deactivate that, and it's going to make it look a lot more aggressive. And the same thing here, you can also tailor everything. So Sport Plus, Sport Plus, Sport, Sport. It's always an all-wheel drive, but you can make it a sport all-wheel drive configuration. Just maybe set your presets here, so that way you have it set. Legroom is going to be more than enough for the front. Headroom, you're going to have at least 5 inches, and I'm at 6'3", so they do a good job carving it out. The door card and dashboard, it configures it together nicely, and I like how they incorporate it, because when you put these lines together, sometimes they don't match up all the way. So then people say, well, there's like a paneling gap, or they just didn't do a good job with the contrast stitch. You don't have that issue here. One touch up and down for all the windows, acoustic front windows, acoustic windows and windscreen. Soft to touch where it needs to be, with a long storage pocket, a beverage holder carved out, and you got a little hidden pocket for the driver. For the back, this is the opening that you have. The executive pack gives us these manual sunshades. For the price of this should be power, especially for now, but there isn't any change to the interior except for losing gesture control. Soft to touch where it needs to be. You get the ambient lighting, and it's the same door card as the front and almost the same exact storage. Illuminated M side sills, USB ports behind both of the front seats, dual climate control settings, and heated rear seat because we have that executive package. Air vents here, as well as on the side pillar, a storage tray here, 2 USB-C down there with a 12 volt. The center gets the armrest with the cup holders and a storage if you are only fitting 2 occupants. Leg space, I have about 2 inches sitting into the back. That's sitting behind me. And headroom, I have about 4 to 5 inches, so it's literally about the same, except here, it kind of has a little bit of a lip that goes down about ½ an inch. But it's not necessarily an issue unless you're fitting a 3rd occupant, in which you're going to be sharing some feet space, but butt, leg, and shoulder space is not really shared at all because of the way everything kind of contours in two. Now you still have about 3 inches of leg space here. It is blocking the central command, but the center headroom is actually just about the same, about 4 or 5 inches. So I could fit in either of the seats comfortably. 3.7 seconds, 0 to 60. Let's see what we get. Some of the best grip in class. I'm gonna just stop right here. Just exhilarating. 617 horsepower. Braking, you could stop on a dime because we got 6 pistons in the front, a 15.6-inch disc reading, single floating caliper in the rear with 15-inch disc. Maneuverability, handles like a charm. The exit. And that soundtrack is, I mean, you just want to keep feeding it. And that's what I was saying on the exterior. This is a sports car slash supercar lifted up. And it's an SUV, so you can get everything done. You don't have to be concerned about someone saying you're a soccer mom or this or that. You got performance. You got a soundtrack. You got comfort. It's going to be a lot more rigid than the M60i, but you're also gaining power. Now, the M60i is a sweet spot, so that's why I entertained that, because 523 horsepower, it's the detuned S68 engine, which is what we have, but it's not going to have all the guts that's underneath the hood. I mean, 6 radiators, 4 water pumps. This thing is just ready and thriving to go on the track. And please, if you got 140 Gs, take this thing on the track, because that's the only way you can really enjoy it. Just driving in normal, hitting maybe 3-4 RPM, it takes off. Now obviously when you change your driving mode, it's going to change the whole way the throttle response is. There's not a lot of feedback in the steering, even when you are doing some corners and bends on the road. It does feel a little bit more light, which could be good or bad depending on your driving skill. The sound deadening could be a little bit better when you are driving at higher speeds, But in the same aspect, they've added so much for dynamics that I hate to say they kind of forgot about doing some of the luxury. But it's really hard to complain about this type of beast, because when you go into Audi and Mercedes is going to be more plush, the seat's going to be a little bit more comfortable, but then the price is going to be at least 10, 20 grand more. Going into the RS Q8 Performance, that's going to have a lot of screen configuration, so it's going to be a lot more digital in the front, which for 2027, that's going to be the layout for this particular vehicle, because they're going to have that heads-up display. That's going to be about 10 inches tall, and it's going to extend from pillar A to pillar A. That's the beauty about SUVs opposed to supercars also, is it has that ground clearance, you have the visibility so you can see all around you. So even though it's longer, 617 horsepower, I have to remind you. I mean, my Maserati only has a few horsepower more than this, and it's like triple the price nearly. Now there is an M60i, which has the S68 engine, 523 horsepower, so it's detuned. You lose a lot of the cooling components that's underneath the hood. It is track worthy. You have rear axle steering. Weight distribution is basically 50-50, so it's really close to this. 0 to 60 is around 4.1 to 4.2 seconds according to BMW. So then what happens is people start thinking, should I pay that extra 30, 40 grand for 0.5 seconds according to what specs say on paper? And that's basically where I'm getting at with the RS Q8 Performance and Mercedes AMG 63. Because when you go either of the three vehicles, you start hitting territory that can escalate to another $10,000, $20,000 when you go into Mercedes. So if you're already at 140, would you pay $160,000 to $170,000? At that point, it's better you save the dough and you go into the M50 and you get this detuned engine. The engine is brilliant. Now the difference though is it feels very light to the pedal. I know that it does similarities in the M60i, but here you're getting the full potential, which is pretty crazy. Now what I want to show you is the lag between 30 miles an hour. So we're just gonna like lower it a bit to 25, and we're gonna give her gas. And you can see the lag is very light, and that's because of the way they have integrated the twin turbos in this vehicle. It's literally right in between the V, which is the hottest spot for the V8. Taking me to the final reason why you want to option this is it's literally a supercar. You have over 70 cubic feet of storage. You got room for 5 to fit comfortably. Heated, ventilated seats. Now obviously you got to tick the box for the executive package, but hell, it's only a few grand and I would do it, especially if I'm already at a sticker at near $140,000. But with all that being said, we got to make sure we give this a proper ending. Turn radius at a stop point is going to get about 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. She's quick, she's precise. It's nimble, but yet it just stays planted. I mean, you just want to keep feeding it octane because of all the performance that it has, and yet it's still a refined drive. It's not going to be as comfortable as some of the competition, but it is a track-worthy supercar SUV. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out this next video right here.